want to thank everyone for being here this evening. My name is Marty Conley. I'm the president of the Ironton Rotary Club. If you don't mind and are able, could you please stand so I'll lead you in the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Again, I want to welcome everyone for being here this evening. Got a few thank yous I'd like to go over first. Tonight's forum is going to be live streamed. We want to thank the folks from Armstrong Neighborhood Channel for being here and doing that for us. Also, you can look on some of our media channels, the Ironton Rotary Club, and we'll put it on our website, irontonrotaryclub.org, after this is over. We'd also like to thank the Ironton Tribune, who provided in-kind sponsorship through advertisement, and we'll have a Meet the Candidates section on November 1st. Of course, Ohio University Southern, who provided the facility, the EM group that is here that's filming this for us tonight. We appreciate them for doing that. And those that are in attendance and those that are watching home, we appreciate you all being here. Thank you. I want to thank you all, candidates, for being here. I know that everyone's schedule's busy, but I appreciate you taking some time out to be here to introduce yourself to the community. So much appreciated. Thanks again for being here. And my last thank you, I want to thank you to our president-elect of the Rotary Club, Ms. Sarah Simmons, who has helped set a lot of this up. She's here at Ohio University Southern, so I appreciate your help with this too, Sarah. So thank you very much. Real quick, what is Rotary? We hear Rotary Club, you know, what is it? Is this banner behind me? We meet every week, have lunch, that kind of thing. I want to explain to you a little bit real quick. Rotary is an international membership organization. It's made up of people who share a passion for and commitment to enhancing communities and improving lives across the world. Rotary clubs exist in almost every country. Our members change lives locally and connect with each other and other clubs to work on international projects that address today's most pressing challenges. Being a member is an opportunity to take action and make a difference, and it brings personal rewards and lifelong friendships in the process. That's what Rotary is. So a couple things about the Ironton Rotary Club that I'm honored to be president of. This club is 104 years old in Ironton, 104 years old. So that tells you right there that this is a great club. In 1923, we had 90 members. I think we're about 35 right now. Also, since 1953, the Ironton Rotary Club has sponsored a nursing scholarship. And also, how many's been to the pancake breakfast? Look forward to that. That's been going on since 1974. Those are things that people know about what's going on with Rotary, but there are some more things that are happening. This is a first for us. This is something new that we haven't done. We also sponsored the we sponsored the live streaming of the Ironton Lawrence County Memorial Day Parade this year so folks could see it across the country. That was a first for us. 2 weeks ago, we did Celebrate Community, which was a first for us. We joined with the Lions Club, and there was a need in our community for youth who would come home from school and need something to eat, so we collected non-perishable foods, loaded up a truckload to our city missions so we could help that need in our community. That was a first. This month, it's October. This month of October, you'll probably see some bins throughout the community. We are collecting new socks for those that need them this winter. November 4th, get your tickets now. We're having a murder mystery theater here in the Rotunda. This is a first for us as well, too. So you can get those tickets from our website as well. But those are some new things that Rotary's doing as we go into the future. I'm going to end with this, get this started. At Rotary, we talk about several different things going on in the community and how we can help out. But as a Rotarian, We look at things through a four-way test ethical process. We use this in our personal and professional relationships. This test has been translated in over 100 languages, and Rotarians sometimes recite it at their clubs. Of the things we think, say, or do, number one, is it the truth? Number two, is it fair to all concerned? Number three, will it bring goodwill and better friendships? And number four, will it be beneficial to all concerned? That's considered the four-way test in Rotary. So I want to leave with that. Again, thank you all for being here. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to turn things over to our moderator, who is Rotarian John Ferguson. And you'll probably notice tonight a lot of folks that have the buttons on. I just want to thank those folks too. These are your Ironton Rotary Club members. So if you see those folks, that's what these are for. So turn it over to John. Thank you.
You might want to know my credentials. I graduated from Ironton High School in 1969, and I've been back to Ironton for 2 years. I lived away 54 years, and I wanted to come and live at home. And I'm here because I love this community. As to credentials, some people graduate magna cum laude, some people graduate summa cum laude, and I graduated laude laude. And so laude laude, it's good to be here tonight, and it's wonderful to see democracy at work. A little bit of housekeeping, if I may. First of all, our intent tonight is to hear from the candidates, both mayoral and the council candidates. That's to hear their stories, it's to hear their ideas, it's to hear their perspective, and it's to hear how they have been engaging the community. It is not a debate, it's not them addressing one another, but it's us hearing their stories. There's no trickery, there's no deceit. A committee got together and we thought, what might be 5 good questions that each might answer that would help us know more about them and to know more about what's happening in our community from their perspective so that we can make the best decisions. So to that end tonight, candidates, I invite you to answer the questions rather than answer the answers of the questions that come before. To be fair, we've put everyone in alphabetical order, and additionally, each candidate will get to answer one of the questions first, okay? So everyone will have a first opportunity. Another matter is, to you, the audience, we ask tonight that you're observers. We're not applauding, we're not cheering. Time is pretty critical. We're trying to do this within 2 hours. It will be tough. And to that end, we will begin with each person having the opportunity to introduce themselves, tell us a little about themselves. They each get 1 minute. For each of the 5 questions, they each get 2 minutes. And then for a conclusion, they each get 1 minute. By hope, if we stay on time, we'll be generous and give them 2 minutes for a concluding comment. So if we're ready, we'll begin this evening with the first question. And that is, Candidate Brown, will you begin by telling us a little bit about yourself? And as far as Mary Long as our timekeeper, Mary's going to hold up 2 signs. One is 45 seconds, and one is 15 seconds. Okay, and the other is time's up. And then sitting beside her is her lovely daughter, Autumn, who has water balloons. And all right, let's begin.
Wonderful. Hey, thank you so much. Grateful for the Rotary Club for you guys hosting this. But just to really quickly tell you about myself, I graduated from South Point in 2011, so I'm a transplant to Ironton. I've been fortunate to live here for 3 years now. Graduated from OU Southern here with my degree in management. Went away to Mount Vernon Nazarene University and got my master's in business and master's in ministry, and then got to return here where my wife Maddie and I now live. We own the Shakery, Eats and Treats here in Ironton, and we love getting to serve the community through that. And we've gotten to meet so many of you guys, and we've seen how supportive and loyal our Ironton community can be. And I get to serve as the pastor of Be Hope Church in downtown Ironton, and so I love being part of our local community, and I'm excited to see us move forward together.
Great. All right, we're timekeeping these 2. All right. Candidate Haney.
My name's Chris Haney, born and raised Ironton, Ohio, graduated from Ironton High School, OU Southern, with a degree in Bachelor's of Science of Education. Currently, I'm teacher intervention at Ironton City Schools. My wife Amanda, 3 kids, London, Max, and Knox. All are involved in all kinds of extracurricular activities. I volunteer quite a bit of time to the recreation leagues around town. Currently, we're wrapping up the flag football season, so I volunteered to coach there. Just a tidbit here, registrations for rec basketball are coming up Saturday, 8:30 to 11:30 at Tanks Memorial Stadium. We'd love to see you. Bring your kiddos. Come and sign up. It's a great program. We've been expanding the recreation as a whole throughout the community. So we'd love to see your kiddos sign up for that. Personally, I got involved in council 4 years ago and had some problems. We were facing a 0.5% raise in our income tax. I disagreed with that wholeheartedly. I believe there were more creative ways to go about that instead of raising the taxes on the working people. 4 years later, we still have no 0.5% income tax increase, and I think the city is doing fantastic. Things I like to do in general, basically, spend times with family.
Thank you.
Yeah, Coach.
We're timekeeping these, each to 1 minute. Yes. Sorry about that. May I also say, you'll notice that the microphones are color-coded, and you have been color-coded. It's to prevent feedback. Okay. So we're going to take 5 minutes off of your next question. All right. Next is Candidate Hawk.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jacob Hawk, born and raised here in Ironton, graduated from Ironton High School in 2010, went to OU for undergrad, and then got my master's in counseling, clinical mental health counseling at Marshall in 22. I work at Shawnee Family Health Center as an outpatient therapist. I do a lot of crisis work in the community, and I really enjoy my job. I live here in Ironton. I've been on council for 4 years. It's been an enriching endeavor. I love being able to serve the community. I live real close to here with my wife, Autumn, and too many cats to count, and a baby on the way. So,
Thank you. Candidate Pierce.
My name's Mike Pierce. I'm born and raised here in Ironton. I live on the north end, and as I was discussing with some people earlier, there are several Mike Pierces around, and not to be confused with the person that has the booth named after them at the Roadhouse or some of those things for eating the 100-ounce steak or something. That wasn't me. Graduate of Ironton High School, have a master's from Marshall University and a master's from Ohio University in strategic leadership. Been on council 4 years, and it's been an amazing experience for me. And I want to say I appreciate everyone who elected me last time, working with the folks on council, the people that are there now, and Beth Rist was on council when I was there. Just amazing people to work with and have done so much.
Thank you so much. Candidate Cleary.
Good evening, Ironton community, and thank you for spending your valuable time here tonight. I'm Amanda Cleary, and I hope to be your next mayor. My vision for our city is one of collaboration, progress, and sustainability. As your mayor, I will prioritize job creation, revitalization, and development of our recreation economy. I am deeply committed to addressing the pressing issues facing the city, such as affordable housing, infrastructure upgrades, code enforcement, and the need for high-paying jobs. I was born in Ironton and am a graduate of Ironton High School and OUSC with a bachelor's degree in criminal justice and an associate in social science. My professional background includes restaurant management, marketing, and assignment commissioner for the Lawrence County Court of Common Pleas, as well as small business owner. I founded the nonprofit organization Third and Center and am currently the executive director and responsible for writing grants and funding. I am a wife, mother, homeowner, and advocate for small businesses. I love Ironton and want to help create a city that we are proud of to leave to the next generation. I
Thank
look
you very
forward.
much. Candidate Scott. Pardon? Oh, I'm sorry. I missed you. Forgive me. I can't see down that way, and I'm working off of a list. Candidate Crambit.
Well, as you heard, I'm Mayor Cramblett, the current acting mayor here for the city of Ironton for the past 4 years. Just want to thank everyone here tonight, OU Southern, Rotary Club for putting this on, and I look forward to spending the next 4 years with you all.
Thank you. Candidate Perry.
Good evening. My name is Chris Perry. I'm currently on Ironton City Council. I'm a graduate of Ironton High School from 1987. Spent nearly 30 years living in Columbus, honing my skills in sales, marketing, grant writing, funding, a lot of different hats I wore over the years. During my 2 years on council, it's been one of the most rewarding moments of my life. There's lots of things I think that Ironton has to celebrate. There's some things that I would like to see happen differently, which is why I've thrown my hat in the ring to run for mayor. I would like to thank very much Rotary. I would like to thank the Ohio University Southern team for putting this together. And I want to congratulate the city of Ironton for what I feel is probably the most diverse set of mayoral candidates the tri-state has ever seen. 2 women, 2 men of color. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Candidate Scott.
Yes, I would like to thank the Rotary Club for the opportunity for this forum. I'm Hugh Scott. I'm a lifelong resident of Ironton. I'm a former Ironton City's council member. I am also a former employee of Ashland Incorporated. I'm also a deacon of the Mount Olive Missionary Baptist Church here in the city. I enjoy working, trimming, and manicuring and landscaping on the North 40 with my John Deere. I am married to the smartest and the sweetest registered nurse, Annette's school nurse in the state of Ohio, AKA Miss Annette, for 43 years. We had 3 adult children. Randall Lamar, who was killed last year with a hit-and-run driver. Shalonda Annette, who works for the U.S. Department of Defense, the Pentagon in Washington, D.C., and Dr. Hugh Donald Scott II, Administrator of Education in North Carolina. If for a moment I would like to speak from my heart. I'm running for mayor of Ironton on the platform of the 3 Ps, principles, purpose, and possibilities.
Thank you so much. Candidate Greco Smith.
Hi, I'm Kelly Smith. I am actually a graduate of Rock Hill, but I've lived in the city for 20-some years. I'm 41. I have my wonderful husband, Jason Smith, is a 4th District Court of Appeals judge. Basically covers the southern part of Ohio, and we have a 12-year-old daughter. Her name is Marley. I work for the Ohio Treasurer's Office. I've been with him for 5 years. I as well cover most of southern Ohio for him, attending meetings. I'm connected with numerous organizations, economic development, fairs, pretty much you name it. I can probably tell you a little bit about something. But I am very excited about this opportunity. There are so many things that we actually have that we don't realize that we have. After getting to see other communities, and they struggle just like we do, we can have so much more. And I think that we have the best opportunity with the elected officials that are in office right now.
Thank you so much.
I'm very connected to. Thank you.
Great. Now, this has been our test run, and I think it's gone really well. Let's give them a hand. So it's not my intention to cut you off, but it is. Okay. For our mayoral candidates, this is the first question, and we'll begin with candidate Cramblett. In your engagement with the community, what issue has risen as the community's prevailing concern, and how will you work to address it? Not your concern, but what you've heard the community address.
right now, the biggest issue we face for the foreseeable future is housing. We have a high demand for housing here in the city. Our housing market's astronomical, historical numbers is what houses are going for, but we need more development for housing. With that, there are issues that are causing it. You know, lots of folks coming in from out of town, buying up these houses, renting them out to certain organizations. That is something that council has put in place and we have been enacting and reducing a lot of that. But for the foreseeable future, I see our biggest issue is providing housing in this city that is affordable for single families, for those who are young and need rentals. You know, across the board, we need housing.
Thank you. Any time that we save, we'll give you a longer closing statement, okay? Very good. Let's continue with candidate Perry. The same question. I'll repeat the question if you like, but if you don't need me to repeat it, just take it on.
I think I'm okay. I agree with Mayor Cramblett. I think that the most pressing issue is housing. There's a segment of Ironton's housing that has been sorely ignored for over 50 years, and that is the folks that live in metropolitan housing. I've spent quite a bit of time talking to those folks, and by way of conversation that Mayor Cramblett and another councilman and I had with a group from Marshall University, I started to look into a very simple issue, and that was the condition of the 9th Street Park. 9th Street Park is not a city-owned property, but it is a property that has 2 board members that are appointed by the city, by the mayor, and the director of Metropolitan Housing has done just a deplorable job taking care of the properties themselves, and especially 9th Street Park. So when you talk about housing for all of Ironton, we need not forget about the folks that are living in metropolitan housing, whether it's the 9th Street area, whether it is Susan Court's area, whether it is any of the high-rise buildings. These are people that need our help the most, and unfortunately, they have found themselves in a situation where they have almost no choice in what happens around them. I was able to uncover that there has been a millions and millions and millions of dollars situation gone on for grants that have been turned away by the current leadership of Metropolitan Housing. HUD from Ohio is getting involved. It's going to be an issue. There's going to be some serious issues.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Candidate Scott, what have you heard the community speak to as the most pressing issue?
Well, thank you for the question. My concern and what I've heard throughout the community is the rehab situation here in Ironton, Ohio. Rehabilitation, mental health situations. There's a lot of situations happening here in Ironton, Ohio that it just seems like it's being dumped on time and time again. And the citizens around town are really complaining about their city is just getting deplorable. We see this, you see this, and that's the conversations coming up right now. They're really upset about how their city is being ran, and see the situation is getting worse and worse. So that's one of my main issues, and what I've heard the community is talking about is the rehabilitation situation in Ironton, as well as the mental health situation in Ironton. And I understand people need a second chance, but there's a problem here, and we know that, and we can cure that if we work together. Remember, we're stronger together. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Smith?
Could you repeat the full question?
Oh, yeah, I would be happy to. In your engagement with the community, what issue has risen as the prevailing community concern, and how will you work to address it?
Okay. Of course, affordable housing, of course, the rehab situation. A lot of people have been talking about cleaning up the city. They want to live somewhere that they're proud to see their surroundings and have people visit.
Could you just give us the one that
just
you've
the one
heard?
thing.
Yes, yes.
Okay, well, basically, excuse me, to clean up the city. That will be like a domino effect to get the businesses in, to get some more economic development. It will attract people, but I'm going to say clean up the city, and I think that that would help our growth in our city.
Thank you very much. Now we're going to come down to the council members, and we're going to ask the same question. And we're going to begin. Oh, I'm sorry. It'd be nice if I could see everyone. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you for the question.
This is Candidate Cleary. Thank you.
People in our community are struggling to pay their bills, and attracting higher paying jobs is the thing that I've heard the most as a pressing concern for our community. You know, 27% of the people that live in our county are at or below the federal poverty rate. So in order to attract high-paying jobs, we must first look at removing the barriers that are in place for our current workforce. You know, approximately 12% of our population age 25 do not have a high school diploma. We have a lack of affordable and reliable childcare options in our community, and specifically childcare options designed for children with disabilities. Our workforce needs access to reliable transportation and rideshare opportunities. We need to provide access to computers with reliable high-speed internet. We need to partner with our organizations like Ohio University Southern to create shared workspaces so that we can tap into remote work opportunities that do offer those higher paying jobs while we can train our workforce and get the systems in place to provide the things like childcare and ride-sharing options. And I think that tapping into the possibility of building a recreation economy with the natural resources we have, like our beautiful Ohio River and Wayne National Forest, will create a small business boom in our community. So higher paying jobs is definitely a top priority for our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we'll take the council candidates, and we'll begin with candidate Haney, and we'll ask the same question, and that is, what have you heard as the prevailing concern in the community, and how will you address it?
The one concern I have heard, not necessarily above and all else, but is quality of life and things to do, children as well as adults. You know, you live in Appalachia, along the river, you would hope that we would utilize the riverfront, and as council member, teamed up with the current council, we actually put forth some legislation to develop the riverfront, put over $300,000 into that to try to attract people to use those recreational opportunities. Also, this is geared more towards children, but in the last few years I budgeted, I planned the layout, and lobbied the rec committee and council for the renovations to 8th Street Park. So that was a little over $50,000 that we used from the Community Development Fund and as well as the rec levy fund to make those improvements. So if you would go by 8th Street Park, you know, prior to this park being renovated, you know, there was, you know, not very many people there. If you were to go there today, there's people there all the time. So just promoting community involvement, promoting businesses to come in, promoting people to go out and enjoy their lives. Since I've been on council, the pickleball courts have been fully renovated. The basketball court at Etna Street has been fully renovated. We've started things like the Memorial Day weekend pickleball tournament for citizens to utilize. Also, we've created a new kindergarten through 2nd grade basketball league that I have created. I've organized for the last 3 years and have instructed for the last 3 years.
Thank you. Candidate Houck, the same question.
It's hard for me to identify, I guess, any prevailing issue that hasn't already been mentioned. I know rehabs and housing, infrastructure, I think is...
You have to pick one that
Okay.
you think is the...
Yeah. I would say infrastructure. And I feel like this council as a whole has been proactive in its approach with every issue that's been brought to it. We've addressed a lot of issues, and we're working on a massive storm pump sewer project in Green Valley because that area of town has been neglected for a really, really long time. Hoping to address the stormwater issues down there. That's probably the forefront of my mind right now. As far as the other issues that have been mentioned, though, this council has drafted a lot of legislation to address the issue with unchecked sort of rehabilitation programs, and in conjunction with the mayor and our code enforcement officer, I feel like we've been able to address a lot of those issues. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Pierce.
Thank you. I sort of see it as you talk to people in different parts of our town. If you lived down on the north end in the Batham Lane, Green Valley area, you would surely say flooding is absolutely the worst problem. Our streets are terrible. We're the forgotten part of town. If you lived on the other end of town, about 2/3 of you all do, then you would say, well, our streets, until just now, our streets have been terrible. We need jobs. We need infrastructure. And there's the problem with the rehab. All these are connected. We want to attract business. We can't do that without having housing. I mean, we get people, whatever job you could think of, we get folks in here. Where are they going to live? We have to have housing. We need to address that. Our schools. I get asked all the time, how are your schools? I want Ironton's schools to be the best. I'm a graduate of Ironton.
So may I narrow the question again? And that is, what have you heard the community say their predominant concern is? If one rose to the top, and what will you do to address it?
If one rose to the top, at this moment, it would be the flooding and infrastructure issue in the north end. Those are the folks I've talked to.
Great, thank you so much. And then we circle back to Candidate Brown.
Thank you. I would echo these are all great issues that have already been brought up, and I think some of those are definitely the prevailing concerns that I have heard. Again, I think these are all connected, and one of the ways that I think we could begin trying to look at this to solve several of these issues is better presenting a plan on how we can attract younger family-age people to live in our city, because that would increase our income tax revenue. We know right now that a minority portion of our city residents pay our city income taxes, and so the more that we can attract younger working-age families into our city, the more that we can boost our income to our city, and therefore that's going to give us some financials to solve some of these problems. Again, that is related to all of these different concerns that have been mentioned: affordable housing, recreation opportunities. The use of our riverfront, I think, is a fantastic spot that would make a great centrally located park that would be a place for families to a destination for families to go to. So there's several issues to that, but I guess if I were to reduce it to one thing, make a plan of action for how we can better market our city for younger family-age people to increase our revenue to fix some of these problems.
Great. Candidate Haney, question number 2. Service is one of the core values of Rotary. Can you tell us about how you currently serve our community and how you will help bolster city pride?
I would be glad to do that. As stated before, I have created, organized, and instructed the current kindergarten through second grade basketball league for the last 3 years. You know, that's pretty time consuming, but it is very gratifying. to see the smile on those kids' faces when they come into the gym. You know, they only get a couple hours a week for each grade level, but man, they are excited when they come in. So I'm currently, volunteering as a youth football coach for flag football. That season is wrapping up and coming to an end, so we will be rolling into the youth basketball. Continue to advocate for the renovation of community parks, community spaces. Like I said, 8th Street Park, I spent a lot of time going back and forth with Ladas, the company that sold and installed the playground equipment. So I'm continue to spearhead initiatives to renovate the community parks, community spaces. Another thing that I've done is to be involved in the Ironton Recreation Pickleball Tournament. This is the second year running, looking at organizing the third year for that. And just in general, being a good steward to my constituents that would vote for me. I believe that I have, over the last 4 years, answered the calls of any concerns that anybody had. My phone was always open. My emails were always open. I will continue to listen to the voters, listen to the citizens, and address their concerns, whether it be through legislation that I've created or action through myself.
Thank you. Candidate Houck, will you take the same question? How have you been engaged in the community, and what will you do to bolster city pride?
Okay. Like I said earlier, I work as a clinical mental health counselor. Service is in the very nature of that job. I see people from all over Lawrence County, but I also work after hours in the crisis response team as well. So I get lots of calls to the Lawrence County Jail, to St. Mary's in Ironton, and an opportunity to help people that might be experiencing one of the lowest moments of their lives get help. So that is a very enriching job for me. On council, I feel like I've learned a lot in the past 4 years, and every decision that I've had to make, every vote, I've given a great deal of thought to. And I feel like looking back through the past 4 years, I can stand by every decision I've made because it's been thoroughly researched, it's been thought out, and I feel very lucky to be on a council where we can communicate and discuss the issues at length. So yeah, between my job as a counselor and my role as a city council member, I feel like service is just in the nature of both of those roles.
Thank you so much. Candidate Pierce.
Repeat the question, please.
The question is, one of Rotary's core values is service. How have you currently served our community, and how do you intend to bolster city pride if elected or re-elected?
Serving the community on council. When I was elected previously, the one thing I promised was that I would work with the city government and the other council folks to get things done. And to reiterate what Councilman Hawk has said, we work together, and we've done so many things to help our town. As you heard Councilman Haney, there's a list of things that we can take pride in our town. But specifically, the pride, I think, comes from a lot of little things, like having clean streets, new street signs. We have adopted ordinances for weeds and nuisance, and we have an enforcement officer for those things. You're slowly seeing disheveled houses torn down around the town and replaced, and new buildings going up. All these things add a sense of pride, I think, to our community. Well, we're glad to see that thing gone, that's going to be an improvement in our neighborhood. And it makes home values go up. So service, I think being on council, and then pride, those little things in our community that everyone kind of looks at and appreciates.
Thank you. And the same question for candidate Brown.
One of the ways that I've had the privilege of serving our community has been through the church that I get the privilege of pastoring, Be Hope Church. And we do a thing each year called Hope Week. And I'll take a moment just to brag on our people that serve at Be Hope Church that make this a reality. And as part of that, I've gotten to help our team come alongside of restoring in partnership with other organizations too, with Third and Center, we've come alongside to help restore 4 of the flood wall murals. We've cleaned up multiple city parks of some of the old playground equipment at some of the parks before they had replaced equipment. We got to take part in sanding some of the equipment and repainting it in the interim until the new equipment arrived. We've gotten to be part of hosting community events that have resourced underprivileged kids with free clothing. We've done, this past year, it was one of our team members came up with an idea to do free haircuts, and we got to do 80 free haircuts for our community, completely free of charge to all of the kids. And so I say all that to say, I'm not responsible for any one of those things in its entirety, but I've gotten to play a part as a team to serve our community and work hand in hand with the people in our community. And it's been I've been honored to be able to do that. It's been fun, and I think that more than anything, we have to not just talk about accomplishing things, but we have to actually take action. And so I've had the privilege of doing that with our church as a whole, and then also in serving our community through Shakery. And so we know that's not volunteer service, but it's an opportunity for us to take pride in our community. And my wife and I have had the privilege of taking something that was a community staple for years in Ironton, and we've gotten to breathe a little bit of new life into it. And we've seen a community that has been so supportive as we've done that, and it's enabled us to continue to invest in that and invest in our local residents. So, thank you.
Thank you. We'll continue with candidate Cleary. Same question.
Thank you. In 2019, I founded the nonprofit Third and Center, and through that organization have obtained a deep understanding of not only the needs of our community, but our assets as well. I have led projects like the Summer Solstice Music and Arts Festival, designed to showcase our local talent and highlight our beautiful riverfront. We have done cleanup efforts like the Moulton's Field project that restored one of our community green spaces from an eyesore into an asset. I'm currently working to bring back programming and meal service to the Ironton Senior Center and establishing an arts program that will serve our students at Ironton Elementary and the Open Door School. In addition to my work with Third and Center, I am also on the 4-H Advisory Council, the Ohio University Culture and Heritage Planning Committee. I volunteer at Ironton Elementary School. I am part of the reading program with the United Way of the River Cities. I am on the OUSC Coordinating Council and also a new member of the Child Welfare Club. I believe in giving back to our community because it's where we live and it's what I love. I love Ironton, and I'm proud to continue to serve our community in any capacity.
Thank you. The next candidate.
Hi, Mayor Cramblett.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. We'll get to know each other by the end. I primarily serve the community every single day as the sole decision maker for all things that do happen in the city with our services, making sure that everything is taken care of, which keeps everyone's daily lives moving, on track. Also serve as the facilitator of the community, putting various agencies and groups of people together to work on projects and bring things to the city. When I do have time outside of my city duties, which is hardly any, I serve with the Lawrence County Land Bank, which works to help get some of these dilapidated properties that are tax delinquent demoed and turned back onto the market to improve the community. I also serve with the Lawrence County Port Authority, which facilitates economic development operations throughout the county and in the city. And there's all kinds of those boards that but I serve the community every single day, and I'm proud to say that I enjoy that.
Great. Candidate Perry?
Thank you for the question. Currently, I work for the Lawrence County Domestic Violence Shelter, and I've heard stories that are the absolute worst of the worst. The folks that find themselves sitting across the desk from me or anybody that works there, they've exhausted every avenue of resources that they have. If you're sitting across the desk from a stranger and you're telling these horrible stories about things that are happening to you or to your family, you're literally at the bottom of the barrel. So the work that we do there, I find it invaluable to our community. It is unfortunately the dirty little secret that most people don't want to talk about or they're not comfortable talking about. I'm heavily involved in Harvest for the Hungry, and I sit on the board for the Emergency Food and Shelter Program. We are solely in place to address food insecurities. Food insecurities are probably the nation's #1 issue. Everyone feels that there's a separate issue, but it is probably the #1 issue that plagues most of the United States. By way of the work that I do from my seat on council, I've had the opportunity to meet dozens and dozens of people around town when they have issues, neighborhood issues, housing issues, whatever it is. If they call to the city and they're not able to get a reply, they're left with no choice but to call to council members. And I have dropped what I've done on numerous occasions, shown up, had conversations with people at their doorstep to try to help get resolution to their situation.
Thank you. Candidate Scott, how are you engaged and how will you help bolster civic pride if elected?
How would I engage? Well, thanks for the question. If you all understood when I first opened up, I'm a deacon in Mount Laurel Missionary Baptist Church mission. My mission is to go ye therefore. I think that if people would consider that he's faithful, and that faithful is in Jesus Christ. I have no bones about that. And I hope people can see his work through us. As we've been here, my wife and I, for 43 years. No, I've been here all my life, but we've been married for 43 years. I think we've built that foundation on trust for one another. And it's also for our community. And if one would look out in this community, if anyone knows the name J.D. Codenhart, does anyone know that name? That name is a man walks around town sweeping, playing his music, sweeping up this whole city. That's what we're about. And that's my call as a deacon, as a missionary, to go out there for. And I hope that we, as a community, come on together and catch that vision that we'll go together. And remember, we're stronger together. Thank you.
Thank you. And Candidate Smith?
Well, could you repeat the question?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Can you tell us how you are engaged and serve the community right now and what you will do to help us bolster city pride?
Well, I feel like that since I cover 14 counties for the Ohio Treasurer's Office, it's given me an opportunity to actually be the middleman, I guess you could say, between the constituents of all those counties, including our own, and to a state official. And that's not just to my boss, the treasurer, it's to the governor's office, lieutenant governor, whatever they needed. They asked me, emailed me, I would get them to the person they needed to talk to. So I feel like that I've been actually representing Ironton and Lawrence County for the past 5 years, because everyone knows when they see me that I'm from Ironton, since we're all the way at the bottom and I have to drive forever to get to everywhere. But I think that I like to focus on the children. I think that they're the most important thing. They are our future. We need to take care of them. I'm actually a 6th, 7th, and 8th grade softball coach for the past 4 years. I'm the president of the Ironton Softball Federation. I'm a mad fundraiser, so if I bothered y'all about donating money to things, no, I apologize, but it'll probably continue. But I think that I enjoy being in organizations. I just work 70, 80 hours a week, so I'm getting more involved. And softball like takes a lot of time too. So, but I'm in the Flags of Honor group, a Child Welfare Club. Like I said, the president of the Ironton Softball Federation. But that's pretty much it. I think that, and circling back with the kids, we got to take care of our kids and give them the opportunity with sports or drug prevention or the mental health, whatever they need to be successful. And that's the pride that I take, is making sure our kids are okay.
Thank you. This is the third question, and this will go to the mayoral candidates, and we'll begin with candidate Scott. If you were approached with a new idea, how would you decide if the project was worth implementing? And please feel free to use examples from previous work experience. And
Well, how I would approach it, first I would ask the community to be an involvement about the project. It's all about the people, and the people where we get our functioning power from. And that's what we're doing. We're working for the people. And the people of Ironton and the collaborating areas around Cold Grove, Hanger Rock, as well as Ashland, Kentucky, and Russell, Kentucky, we're a tri-state. And I can see a vision that we're all to be able to work together throughout this whole tri-state area. If I may say, I've used this little analogy once before. I asked ones, I said, where is the Greater Cincinnati Airport located? And they said, it's in Kentucky. But the Greater Cincinnati Airport's in Kentucky. I say to Ironton here, we have the same setup right here of Kentucky and Ohio. We can do the same thing that Cincinnati and Covington is doing right down the road here. That's my vision. That's what I have a vision here to see. And I believe if we get together, we'll do this. We can accomplish that type of vision. Thank you.
let's continue with candidate Smith.
Can you repeat the question one more time?
Absolutely. If you were approached with a new idea, how would you decide if the project is worth implementing? That's the first part. And the second, from your own work experience, talk about that a little bit, if you have some illustrations.
Well, in my current position, I've got to see just about every project, grant-funded project. I have a lot of close connections out there that I could definitely reach out to for advice. I think that the community opinion is a big deal, definitely worth going through everything we possibly can to make sure it will work. And I think that's good, the citizens.
Thank you very much. And then we'll move up to candidate Cleary.
Thank you. I think letting our citizens know that their voice matters is imperative, and creating programs like a Mayor's Advisory Council that would allow everyone to have an input in what's happening in our city is extremely important. If someone came to me with an idea, I think one of the first things that I would weigh is the impact that it could potentially have on our community. How many people will it involve? I truly believe in the ability of our community to form connections and collaborate on projects. So I would look at this person and say, you know what? The Rotary Club is working on a similar project. Let me tap you in with them so you guys can work together on this. I think for a long time, our community has been, there's a lot of people doing a lot of good things, but there's no connection in people working together. How can we cross over? And we've really tried to bridge that gap through Third and Center. Like you heard Mr. Brown say earlier, that was a collaborative project on a riverfront mural between Be Hope Church and Third and Center. So we truly try to act as a catalyst for collaboration when we're talking about new ideas that can be put into place in our city. And I would continue that collaborative vision to the mayor's office.
Candidate Cramblett, same question.
Which was that, how would you determine if
someone proposed an idea,
Sure.
how would you, let me not restate it differently. If you were approached with a new idea, how would you decide if the project is worth implementing? And perhaps you have some examples how you've already done that.
I mean, well, I won't single out any examples. But that, yes, this is something that you deal with quite often. First of all, you always want to explore all the avenues, meaning, like, how are we going to fund it first? In a project, you can have great ideas, but if you have no way to fund it, then it's dead. Second, is it sustainable? Is it something that we can continue to keep moving after the initial investment? 3, who's going to operate that and make sure that it continues its operation? So, there's lots of great ideas that come through the city, and it's a matter of, is it sustainable, and is there someone that can run it, and how do we manage the upkeep? You don't want to go making an investment in something that is going to die after a year or 2.
Okay, thank you. Candidate Perry.
Thank you. The first thing that would need to happen for the city of Ironton, unfortunately, we have found ourselves in, the only term I can think to use is a quagmire, because we have so many commercial properties in Ironton that are being managed, they're owned by, controlled by outside of Ironton interests. If you look up and down the streets of Ironton, the vacant buildings, vacant properties are oftentimes a result of the people that own these properties that don't have a specific interest in the future development of Ironton. So I believe that before anything happens, needs to come a renovation almost of figuring out how Ironton regains, recaptures ownership of these commercial properties. We can't get businesses to Ironton if we're being stonewalled by the commercial property owners. Once that has happened, then yes, funding is key. Whether it's grant funded, whether it's private ownership, whether it is enterprise funding, there's different avenues to make sure that happens, but none of it's going to happen until we can figure out a way to harvest the properties, the commercial properties, for ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Now turning to our council candidates for the third question, which is a different question. We'll begin with candidate Pierce. The question is, what work experience has prepared you to be an effective council member? And what do you think is the most important skill that a council member should have?
The work experience that I have that's prepared me to be a council member, I've worked public schools for 34 years, dealt one-on-one with parents and kids. Problem solving was a daily instance. The interaction that I have with folks, it has to be plain, it has to be communicable. You have to have a real way to solve problems. And could you repeat the second part of the question?
Yes, and what do you think the most important skill is that a person should have to be a council member?
I think that's kind of a tough question. It's important to listen, but I think problem solving is probably the most important. In listening to the questions that were posed to the mayoral candidates, I was jotting that down here. It's almost a formula. You see, does it fit? Does it provide jobs? Is it safe? Is it sustainable? If it check marks all those things, and then is the funding, you get funding in place, or there grants, or there loans? So in any of these things, you break it down to the components, and you can solve each component. It's the old story about eating the elephant. You can't eat it all at once, but you can a bite at a time. Most of our problems, well, all of our problems can be solved with a solution that we can do step by step and implement it.
Thank you. Candidate Browns, the same question.
Wonderful. Could you repeat that question one more time, please?
Absolutely, I could. And that is, what work experience has prepared you to be an effective council member, and what do you think is the most important skill a council member should possess?
Awesome. Well, twofold on what has prepared me to be an effective council member. One, co-managing, my wife and I together manage the Shakery, and sometimes you could think that a hot dog and ice cream joint wouldn't be that hard of a thing to manage, but when you're managing 45 employees that largely are high school and college age, it becomes tricky on keeping everybody happy and keeping the schedule filled. And then also, as part of managing any small business, not only do you have to diplomatically balance the interest of all of the different employees and all your stakeholders, you have to balance the interest of customers, you have to balance the problems that come up between employees, or the problems that arise when you have something that didn't go well with a customer, and you have to make sure that customer leaves happy. So all of those things, I would say working in Shakery has really helped give me skills to work with other people, to problem solve. I also agree that's a huge skill needed in any leadership position. You have to be able to face the problems that do come at you, and you have to be able to tackle them quickly and with wisdom. And so another thing, through leading at Be Hope Church, I've learned that you have to trust in a team, and I have a leadership team that I lead on a monthly basis, who helps me make decisions, so that I'm not always making decisions single-handedly. And I think that's super important, that when you are making decisions, you are trusting your coworkers in doing so. And so, of course, that's the function of a council, is that a council is working together so that you can achieve more together, instead of being siloed and trying to do things completely on your own without the advice and wisdom of other people. So when it comes to the most important skill, I think, is collaboration. You have to be able to hear from other people, tap into the expertise that people that may know more about a specific subject than you do, and take that, research it, and find a way to move forward that's going to make a better result, better outcome.
Thank you very much. Candidate Haney.
Yes, in my work experience, I've been intervention in some very difficult classrooms. I've been employed as a high school coach, middle school coach, and everywhere in between, from a bartender to cutting grass. And one thing that all of those positions have in common is the ability to communicate and, for the most part, de-escalate. So my ability to communicate with anybody from, like I said, kindergarten through second grade kids to, people that I've worked with on council that's been a part of city government for 30 years. I have no problems communicating wants, needs, expectations, and just in general, communicating with them for what we're working towards for the betterment of the city. Communication is a very strong asset of mine, I believe. And my son also, I think, gets this from me, because a lot of people say that kid has never met a stranger, and I wholeheartedly agree. They call him the president of the Ironton Elementary School, and he's been helping me campaign. So just teaching that to my children has been a very fun experience for me as a father. But my ability to communicate with anybody from city employees to residents to people from outside the county that's willing to maybe come into our county or our city and put in a business, provide a service. I believe I'm pretty easy to talk to, pretty approachable, and I've shown that with my ability to answer the concerns of citizens, whether it be through legislation, whether it be through personal service. I believe I've got the communication skills needed to do what is needed for our community, not just what's best for it, but what is needed.
Thank you so much. And Candidate Houck.
So when I think about my work experience coming into council, I was working in 2019 at Star Community Justice Center as a treatment specialist, and part of that job was approaching people who had committed program rule violations, and that had major consequences in that program. And I learned very, very quickly through making mistakes the right way and the wrong way to approach conflict. And I learned a lot of conflict resolution through that role that eventually, I think, kind of carried over naturally to council, but led me into the profession that I'm in now, working as a counselor. And when I'm working with, clients, I may be talking to them about their issues, their personal issues. I may be helping them navigate through different, systems to get assistance that they may need for a variety of reasons. But that requires a great deal of being able to listen and being solution focused. And I feel like as far as the number one skill that is required of a council member, I feel like keeping the focus on the role of council, which is outlined in the charter, and that's our job is to legislate and appropriate funds. So we have to make practical decisions, as far as legislation is concerned, because what we draft in law is no good if it can't be carried through. So I'd say focus on the goal at hand.
Thank you very much. I think we're doing really well on time. And if you're like me, my mind cannot contain what my behind cannot endure. So I give you 5 minutes, and we will start exactly in 5 minutes. Can shall we reconvene? Please come in and tell the folks outside. Please be seated. Thank you. I know, may I have your attention again? I know that good evening. In the interest of you being able to talk and visit with one another, the university has graciously agreed to keep the parking lot open until 3 o'clock in the morning after the event. Okay, so great. One more matter of housekeeping. I noticed that the candidates have kindly been addressing me. And ideally, if I were sitting in the front, and I couldn't because of the microphone and blocking the cameras, if I were sitting in the front, it would look like they were talking to you. So I'm going to ask forget I'm here once I ask the question unless you need me for something. And thank you for looking this way. I'll listen in. Also, someone said they were unable to hear. Is anyone having hearing problems? I wear hearing aids, and I'll let you have one of mine. But I'll talk into the mic. Very good. We're now on question number 4. And let's see. This is a question for our council candidates. If you could change one thing in our zoning code, what would it be and why? And we will begin with, I believe it is now time for candidate Hauk.
I don't want to dance around the zoning code issue because I've spent a lot of time looking at our zoning code as far as changing one thing. I don't know if it's fair, but I feel like writing an entirely new zoning code. So if I could change one thing, it would be everything. And I say this because I've spent weekends looking at that code. I've sent, I think it was like an 11-page opinion request to Brigham about our zoning code, especially with the issues that we've had with the rehab centers. And we've worked with what we have, but what we have was written in, I believe, 1969, is that right? So there's language in there that is archaic, sometimes just downright just the kind of language you wouldn't use anymore. It's like sanitariums and stuff like that. So I feel like the entire thing needs redone. And I know we were looking at that at one point and talking with a consulting company. It was going to be expensive, but who knows? It may be something that we can tackle in the next 4 years. So yeah, one thing, everything.
Okay. And candidate Pierce, will you take that question?
Well, I would have to reiterate much of what Councilman Hawk said. We have taken a really close look at many parts of the zoning code. We've created the central building zone, the downtown district, to promote businesses coming in there. We've looked at the rehab. We've reworked many parts of the zoning code, and we're still working on that. In retrospect, it may have been better to go back and just start all over and restructure it. But we're working, like he said, with some issues that may be outdated, and we're working that out, redefining areas, trying to promote businesses, and keep certain businesses, certain zones open to particular businesses and activities.
Thank you. Candidate Brown.
Wonderful. One of the things that, with our zoning code as a whole, I think enforcement is a huge thing. I've read through most of the zoning code, and there's a lot of great stuff contained within, but I think there's a lot of it that doesn't get enforced, or if it does get enforced, it takes a long time to get enforced. And so when we talk about things like cleaning up the city and taking pride in how our city looks, first step is enforcing the code that is already on the books so that those things can be remedied in a quick manner. When it comes to what new thing would I propose, and I would love to explore the idea of a fee for vacant properties, absent owners in particular. We look at all the commercial properties that have ownership that is outside of Ironton, and they don't care that their property is setting as blight to our community because they don't live in our community. There needs to be financial pressure put on them so that they are incentivized to change. As long as they aren't being incentivized, they will continue to sit on their dilapidated properties and will suffer the consequences of seeing them. So I think the key thing we need to do is impose fees to incentivize either sell the property so that somebody local can take over and market the property so that it can be put up for lease so that we have potential new commercial businesses. And when we talk about housing, if you have a dilapidated house that you're sitting on that's empty and you're not utilizing, then let's put pressure on those owners, those property owners, so that they will turn loose of the property, or they will remedy the properties and make them available for use in our city rather than sitting as an eyesore for all of us to look at.
Thank you. Candidate Haney.
I don't think this is necessarily a question for what would I do. It is more of a statement of what I have done in regards to zoning. We currently do have a vacant property registry that you have to sign up for, and there is a fee attached to that. I've also outlined the current and new central business district zone. I created the borders for that. Councilman Klein created the wording of the legislation for that. Council as a whole has created a new district in the last 4 years, R1A zone. This allowed the expansion of R1, I want to say the pros of R1 into some R2 districts. So these are things that we have currently done in regards to zoning. I think I've looked through the zoning until I'm blue in the face. We've created zones that no longer allow for health services that are a hot topic right now, so we've done that. We've expanded the R1A district throughout a lot of the city. We've created the B2 zone, which we didn't create. We expanded on that. We're currently looking into some more zoning legislation that would recreate some of the zoning map that we have. So in general, this isn't a new issue. We've been working on it for 4 years, and like I said, there's ordinance number 2267, 2268 establishing a new zone. The ordinance creating the new R1A created new definitions in zoning to allow for your rehabilitations in town. So
Thank you so much. This is for our mayoral candidates, question number 4 for them. And we'll begin with candidate Smith. Do you think that the business in Ironton is healthy and successful? If so, what would you do to build on that success? If not, what would you do to change that for both new businesses and established local entrepreneurs?
What's the first part again? Sorry.
Okay. Do you think business in Ironton is healthy? And if so, what would you do to build on the success? And if not, what would you do to change that for both new businesses and existing businesses?
I do think that there are businesses in town that are very successful. Could they all use help? Absolutely. But to bring more businesses in, we have to help them shine a little bit better and have some more resources to build more customers or bigger menus or whatever they need to do to be more successful for themselves. But I think that if we had, and I think that this has already been a thing before, but like a business association, a business organization, a small business hub, anything like that, where our small businesses could go to find answers on loans or programs or anything like that, or just have somebody to reach out to that can reach out to someone else to get some answers for them. So I think that that would be the best thing, is to give them a little bit more support by having a committee or an organization. Or I kind of like the idea of the small business hub, because then that may let people be able to work from home with all the new industry going in with the Intel and things like that. So that might all kind of just ball in together there. So I think that.
Thank you. Candidate Cleary.
Thank you for the question. As a former small business owner, in 2018, when I left the court, I quickly became a small business owner in downtown Ironton with the opening of the Vault Market, and that allowed me to see the struggles facing our small business community firsthand. I think that this is a multifaceted approach. It's not a quick fix, but we do have a wonderful small business community in Ironton. And I think that there are several ways that we can grow on that. The first is making downtown revitalization a priority. We have a plethora of buildings downtown that the codes are not being enforced and the buildings are not up to par. So if you don't have rentable retail space in your downtown or in your community, you cannot promote small business growth. So that would be step one for me. The vacant property registry is a thing, but I think that it needs to be enforced, and also the punishments for vacant property needs to be stricter. I do believe that our business license ordinance needs reviewed. Currently, it's $2 for a 2-year business license, and I think that you can do so many things when you know who's conducting business in your city. The first thing would be promoting them on the city's website, branding our city so that we can attract more businesses to our community. I think that we can establish micro lending programs and create small business incubators in our community, in our Ironton City Center. So there's retail space available. Small business can start there and then graduate into larger spaces in downtown Ironton. And then also looking at grants for minority business owners. I do a small business spotlight on my Facebook page every week, and those have been primarily women. And the reason for that is because grants are available for women and minority business owners. So those are some things that I would focus on. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Cramblitz.
Thank you. Yeah, so I do think it is healthy, but it's not great. When we came into office 4 years ago, downtown was nearly 80% vacant. And a lot of that real estate has turned over, and you've got a lot more shops down there now. However, we do have some of those blighted properties, which through the vacant property registry and the vacant property fees, which are the usage fees that are on your utility bill, are being put on these properties. So let's say, for instance, that property does not have a water meter that's active. They're still paying that fire fee, that municipal fee, the flood fee, all of those. So we are doing our best to incentivize these property owners to turn them over. When I came in, the biggest fear 4 years ago was that no one would want to come to the city. I've learned in my time, my second biggest fear is everybody wanting to come here and we have nowhere to put them. So, as Perry was talking about earlier, there is a lack of turnkey properties available, and that is something that we are working night and day on, sending out the letters, putting the pressure on these property owners to get these taken care of. Another thing is, though, when I say it's healthy, you may not see it because we haven't brought in a massive industry in the past 4 years. However, you've seen massive expansions in 3 industries, AHS, American Hydraulics, across the railroad tracks, Mightycon, and Vertiv, which we've also seen almost $700,000 increase in income tax in the past 2 years. That's annually. So that money's coming from somewhere on that income. So I do think it's healthy, but it is definitely not great, and that's what we're working towards. Thank you.
Candidate Perry.
Thank you. So I think the first thing that needs to happen is that Ironton needs to reestablish its own individual chamber/port authority. I think that it was a dark day. The details that are behind Ironton relinquishing control to a port authority aren't really important so much now, but I go back to a phrase that I used, and that is that we have outside of Ironton interests that are making decisions on things that are happening in Ironton, ergo access to commercial properties, making decisions really across the board. But in terms of business thriving, not just surviving, but thriving in the city of Ironton, it's only going to happen when Ironton takes greater control of these issues ourselves, not relying specifically on those that are outside our community. Additionally, I think Ironton needs to offer greater access to the economic development dollars that are out there. We have a fund of about $50,000 that's available for small business owners, and I took a look at the past 4 years worth of data, and there's only one business that received a full $50,000. That was for a beer tap system. So that money, in my personal opinion, should probably be divvied to several different businesses, 4 or 5 different businesses. But to have $50,000 go to one business that's not generating a tremendous amount of income tax revenue for the city seems kind of wasteful. Thank you.
Thank you. And Candidate Scott.
Yes. Is our business doing well here in our city? Well, that's an understatement. Think of this. I can't buy a decent tie in Ironton. And we're collaborating. That's when I'm using the word collaboration with Ashland and Russell, Kentucky. We need to use that utilization back and forth. They're building across that river every day in Ashland. Majority of our money goes across that river over there to KDMC. They go to Kroger's. They go to different individual places, but what it's been over here. Our new Ironton Russell Bridge should be the gateway to our city. I can see through a vision that there should be a fitness center for senior people with a pool and all access there. Coming off that bridge, it should sell our city. That's what bridges do. They sell your city. But here in Ironton, you all know that. You see that. But where do we gain what they have gained across the river? We have to learn that the word of collaboration, right? We're having a problem with that because we're not together ourselves. Our leaders, our people of working together in our area. And always remember this one word I'm always stating: we're stronger together. We're stronger together. But one thing we have to do, we can't utilize everything across the river. That's one thing I'm standing on: principles, the fundamental truth. We have to accept the truth, what's before us. And you can see that for yourself. The truth is not here, but the truth will set you free if we work together.
Thank you very much. We move on to our 5th question, which we'll ask all candidates. Is there a candidate who has not gotten the chance to answer a question first? Great. Chris, we'll give it to you then. And then what I'd like to do is we'll continue to the end of the table. We'll start up here and we'll just continue since it'll be easier and I won't get lost.
Sounds good.
Okay. This question is for all candidates. Have you or would you consider supporting new policies or guidelines to ease safety concerns of residents regarding the quality of supervision and care of clients provided by some of the residential drug and alcohol rehabilitation centers? Let me say that again. Have you or would you consider supporting new policies or guidelines to ease safety concerns of residents regarding the quality of supervision and care of clients provided by some residential drug and alcohol rehabilitation centers? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. I think that's a fantastic question. It is one of the most pressing issues that people in Ironton seem to face, whether it's a facility that's next door, whether it's issues that are happening down the street. They feel that the residents in these homes are not being managed properly. They're not receiving the proper treatment. So yes, the answer in short is yes, I would support. I think that there is a fantastic resource that's existed in Ironton for about the past 6 or 8 months. There is a coalition of residential treatment facilities that meets once or twice a month, and they've done a pretty good job of getting out in front of many of the issues. They have, for lack of a better term, they've policed themselves in dealing with many of the other treatment facilities that aren't up to snuff. They're not following the rules that, that council and I have put into place. Enforcing those ordinances is very important, but it helps when you've got that happening on the inside. So I think that having a program that has the folks that are in treatment become a significant part of workforce development. The first step toward getting well is knowing that you've got a job. And so I think council, the mayor, this coalition, our community in general, would be well served to have a collaboration, to borrow a phrase, that gives better direction, better resources for the folks that are in treatment, therefore giving a better result to the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Scott.
Would you repeat that one more time? Could you repeat the question?
Yes, I will.
Please?
Do you think, pardon me, have you or would you consider supporting new policies or guidelines to ease safety concerns of residents regarding the quality of supervision and care of clients provided by some residential drug and alcohol rehabilitation centers?
Yes, I could see her enhancing a new program. But one thing that's going on in our city, that there's a lot of rehab as well as mental health services in our city. I think that all these facilities in our city now should be taken out of the residential areas and put under one roof. I think that will gain revenue for the city, a good tax base, and we will have all that. Our focus would be more safety oriented because we would know where everyone's at. My understanding now, there's too much traffic through our city and people are uncomfortable. So what do we do about that? We have to find ourselves as leaders to bring a safety device to our city. And I feel that if we take that issue at hand and put all these facilities in one place, I think that will gain the trust of our community. And I really believe that it will be functioning better for the clients themselves too. Thank you.
Candidate Smith?
Yeah, this is a very hot topic. I attended the coalition meeting with Councilman Perry. Sorry, there are some in town. They work. They can prove it, and then you have the ones that you know are just opening up and then ready to close down as soon as somebody, you know, wants to do an ordinance or something for them, which has happened. You know, we got rid of a lot of them. I understand that there were 50, and then once they passed the ordinance, then they quickly left town. So I think that if we did have a group that, with elected officials, council, probably some head members, owners of the rehab facilities or mental health facilities, I think that we could keep better tabs on what's going on and what kind of treatment they're getting and what their progress is. Is it working? Is it not working? And then, of course, they need to get back into the workforce. They probably need to get a car. There's all kinds of things that they need to get to the next level. And once they're rehabbed, then hopefully they can become good citizens of either maybe our city or maybe another city where they're from. So I think that, yes, if we have a, just tell me, I'm talking too much. If we had a group that actually would pay attention and really care about what is going on, I think the citizens would feel more comfortable with it. So that's all.
Thank you. Candidate Brown.
Yes, I would support legislation of this manner. We recognize it's a widespread issue. Talking to several community members, we all know it's an issue. We know that there are recovery rehab companies that are in it for all the right reasons. Over the past 4 years, we've had the privilege of hiring a few different people that have been in recovery programs to work for us, and we've seen the success of that firsthand. But then also, we, you know, not firsthand in our company, but we've seen outside people that have failed out of these programs, and it's super sad to see how addiction takes a toll on their life. But we also have to take steps to ensure the safety of the rest of our citizens. I know that one of the things that I think poses a big problem is a lot of the companies that perhaps maybe don't have as much enforcement or management oversight in place is a lot of outside area residents that get transported into our area, and that becomes a bigger issue because if they do fell out of that program, then they are here without family, without a support system, and without the financial means to return to where they came from. And so then it becomes this delicate issue of they're most likely going to be living on the streets here in our city if there's no family or support system to house them in the meantime. And so I would definitely support some systems to put in place to at least monitor how many clients are at each of these facilities. I know with our business registry now, I would expect that we have registration of each of these companies, but if we could know exactly how many clients are at each location and then work with them to develop some sort of centralized hub for things like the workforce development that's already been mentioned, and then also, which this may be beyond our rights as a city. I would have to research more into that. But as a restaurant owner, we are subject to health department inspections regularly. So I think inspections would be something that would be interesting to look into as well to see what kind of management is taking place inside these facilities.
Candidate Haney.
Well, if you've attended, read the minutes, or watched a council meeting over the past 2 years, you would know we have created new legislation on this issue. You know, we've had a drug moratorium in place for about a year. Let's see here. We've also established new language in our zoning. Going back to zoning, went from 5 to 3 non-related family members per dwelling. That's helped out tremendously. We've created ordinances. I've personally created ordinance to ensure that these rehabs that are currently around abide by all the rules set forth by OMAS and all the other alphabet titles that they have. And that was maybe within the last 8 months. So this has been an issue that I've personally dealt with for the last 2 years. It's been super time constraining for council. We've had a lot of long meetings, a lot of headaches, but I think council has done what we could do to the fullest extent of the law. There are many pieces of legislation that we had to recreate or rework due to legal constraints that were basically advised to us by our city solicitors. I think council as a whole is in favor of creating these ordinances that hold these places accountable. We don't want the fly-by-night places. We understand there's an issue with this, treatment community, but we also want to make sure they're doing it for the right reasons, make sure we are holding them accountable to provide high-quality care for these individuals and not just release them to the street for, the residents of the community to have to deal with.
Thank you. Candidate Hawk.
So I have to echo a lot of Mr. Haney's sentiment here. We've spent a great deal of time looking at this issue. We've drafted a lot of legislation. I've attended some of the Behavioral Health Coalition meetings myself, and I appreciate all of the stakeholders in the community that are trying to do the right thing, because I feel like what we're talking about is quality of care, and there's a lot of money wrapped up in these rehabilitation programs, and there's not a whole lot of oversight from the state. I feel like I would support any legislation, and I have supported legislation to help address this problem within the scope of the way that we can address it, which is through legislation. And we've ran into a lot of obstacles in that way. I feel like the onus is on the state to address this issue. I know several months back, Representative Baldridge had supported a House bill. I don't know what happened with that, but I see now that Representative Pizzulli in Scioto County has introduced another House bill that would prohibit unlicensed recovery housing facilities from accepting taxpayer dollars, require a registry to be developed, and just update and improve the system that we have, because as long as the money incentive is there, the problem is going to be there. So I feel like the onus is on the state, and if the state's willing to do that, I'm in full support.
Thank you. Candidate Pierce.
The church that I'm attending is heavily involved in a program called Christ-Centered Recovery. And I see these folks attend church, and they're without a doubt in need of treatment. So there is a heart there for that. And there are facilities, there are entities that do it the right way. They have supervision, they have counsel, they have treatment that's effective. There are others that are not so. And those are the ones, in my opinion, that are causing the problem. They may be in it for the profiteering, I don't know. But for the safety of our citizens and for the safety of those folks themselves, to answer the question on point, yes, I would support legislation. Not just that, but we can create all the legislation we want, but it has to be enforced. So, yes, I would support that.
Thank you. Candidate Cleary.
Thank you. The opioid overdose mortality rate in Lawrence County is the third highest in the state at 68.8 deaths per 100,000 people. So we can all agree that addiction is a problem that has and will affect every family in some way. We need to ensure that these individuals have the opportunity to heal in our community and that there are opportunities for them to re-enter society. However, the organizations that run these facilities must be held to a higher standard. Now, I do know that the state of Ohio is working on legislation to address this issue, but there's still a lot of work to be done, and that can be done on a local level. We need to ensure that these individuals that are going through the recovery process is seen as people and not profits. We need to look at re-entry and community service opportunities and GED and educational programs, and also a way for people that enter our city and aren't from here, a guaranteed way for them to get back home. In addition to that, I would like to see more stringent business licensing pertaining to sober living and rehabilitation facilities so that we know who and where these businesses are being operated in our city, so that we can ensure that the ordinances that are currently on the books, and I commend council for the legislation that they've put in place, but so that we can know that these facilities are being monitored by not only our code enforcement officer, but also our fire department and chief inspector to ensure that the safety regulations are put in place. So, thank you.
Candidate Gamblett.
I'm glad that you guys mentioned the House legislation, because that's what I was thinking as soon as you asked the question. And absolutely, because I believe the states failed us all when it came to this problem, this issue that we have. You know, when they opened the floodgates, they were looking to accomplish two things, which was quality and access, and they covered the access part. You do know it's easier to start a recovery center than it is a franchise Dairy Queen. So anyhow, you apply for your LLC, and then you get through the OMOS board, and you start billing for Medicaid right away. So it is on the state. You know, I feel like they owe us. Cities, villages, we're not capable of taking care of this issue altogether. This is something the state has failed us on, and this is, you know, I think it's their responsibility to clean this up and get this right.
Thank you. It is 7:49. We have 10 minutes left on the nose. How's that for time? And so each of you get 1 minute for a summary. All right? Let's begin. Let's just begin at this end and go right down.
Very good. Sounds great. Hey, I just want to say that it would be an honor and a privilege to serve you guys on the Ironton City Council. There's the old adage of never mix politics and religion or business and all of those things. And I know there could be a concern that I'm involved in all of those things in some way in our community. But I say that that's not an issue because I'm not a politician at heart. I'm just someone who has a vested interest in our community in a variety of ways, and I want to be part of helping it move forward together, collaboratively, and with a vision. I think what we've heard tonight is there's a lot of great things that are already happening too, that some of us may be hearing for the first time. And I think a key thing is that as a council, we also have to be able to not only legislate and fund, but we have to be able to be transparent and communicate what that vision is with our community. Because if you guys don't know what's happening on a monthly basis, what's being passed, what's being legislated, it's hard for us to see how that is being, how it's all unfolding before us. And so we need transparency and we need just that communication.
All right, yeah, over the last 4 years, it's been 4 short years, but if you guys would remember 4 years ago in this room right here, we were talking about an increase in the income tax. Mayor Cramblett stated that we've not only, you know, not needed that, but we've actually increased our revenue from income tax over $700,000. So that's no longer an issue. We've found creative ways to address these issues. One of the things that I personally created was ordinance number 2158, and that is in regards to a 3% hotel motel excise tax. 1.5% of that goes to the economic development fee, which was funded by the citizens, which is now not, because I created an ordinance to remove the $1.50 from your utility bill. Another thing is that we have authorized we've authorized the sale of the Memorial Hall for development for the community.
Thank you so much.
All right, so we've talked about a lot of things tonight. I know I'm kind of ready to get home and eat dinner. But as far as gratitude, I am incredibly grateful to have this opportunity to serve the city. The last 4 years have been one of the most enriching experiences of my life. And I hope that you'll consider giving me a chance to do it again. We have a lot of really good projects in the works. This job never stops. We're always working towards something, and I feel like we've got a good team right now. I hope that everyone just takes that into account whenever they go to the polls. Thank you.
Thank you.
Teddy Roosevelt said, it's not just about what we can have today, but what we can give to tomorrow. And I would like the opportunity to see through with council a variety of things that are in the works at the moment. The street paving, we have a comprehensive plan with our water department. We've purchased mechanicals for the street department and all the sanitation. We've moved the Wallahan building. We're going to sell the, we're going to revamp the Old City Garage. We have flood control for Green Valley and Batham Lane, revamping our parks and our riverfront. And there's more. And I would like the opportunity to stay with council and see those projects through.
Thank you so much.
Ironton has a beautiful, rich history, but we cannot continue to live in the past. We must shift our focus to the present and take responsibility for planning our future. I want to lead our city into its next era, one filled with prosperity, hope, fun, and most importantly, equal opportunity for everyone. With my professional background and leadership experience, I'm confident that I'm the right person to lead our community forward. My grandmother always told me to leave it better than I found it. And that's exactly what I hope to do as your mayor. Thank you to the Rotary, Ohio University, and Armstrong Cable for hosting such an important event for our community. And thank you all for your time and attention this evening. I am Amanda Cleary, and I humbly ask for your vote.
Hello. I again want to say thank you all. It's the past 4 years. It's been a pleasure. It's very rewarding being in this position and getting to see things turn around for our city. You know, when I was a kid passing papers down in Green Valley, I never imagined I'd be involved in the one fixing that water that I was trekking through with my grandmother here. Thank God she drove me. But that, along with many other projects, I'm honored to be a part of it. As far as moving forward, we have so much in the works. You know, I don't think any of us have to, you know, sit here and promise the world. We're showing you that we're delivering the results already, and I would be grateful to spend the next 4 years with you all again.
Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you all again for coming out. Appreciate the opportunity to address everybody. And I'd like to start by finishing with a quote that Muhammad Ali said. It's been quoted by many, but the true character of a man is how he treats those who can do him no harm. I believe that it is incumbent upon us all to be our brother's keeper. I think that there are so many people that live in our community that don't have a voice. They don't have equal representation. And if I am fortunate enough to be hired, not just elected, but hired as mayor for the city of Ironton, I will be a mayor for all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. One thing I'd like to say that we have to remember what we're here for. We're public servants. We serve the public. And one thing I would like to make mention also that we need to take our city back. Who's running this and is in control of our city? The elected representatives or another entity. Proverbs 29:18 says, without a vision the people perish. On November the 7th, you the people have the voice. Change is in you. Stop looking the other way because this is our city. Take it back. Take the city. The city works for you, not the city, excuse me. The city works for you, not you work for the city. We're stronger together. And also, one closing statement here. That's 2 Chronicles 14. If my people would humble themselves, if my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek thy face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and I will forgive their sin and will heal their land. I believe that. I believe it. And also,
thank you very much.
I would like your support. Thank you so much.
I just want to thank the Rotary Club, thank OU for hosting this. I've never got to do this kind of thing before. I have got to speak and sing in front of lots of people, but I really appreciate the opportunity and thank you all for coming. I believe God put me in my position with the Ohio Treasurer's Office to learn and absorb to bring it back to Ironton. It's very unique. I don't know that anybody's ever got an opportunity to do what I've been doing, but I'd be so honored to have your all support to be the next mayor. So I'll work hard, tirelessly. The squeaky wheel gets the grease, and I'm ready to take on the challenge. Thanks.
Well, it's been an extraordinary evening. You've been a marvelous crowd. I hope you got your money's worth. You paid for your tickets, didn't you? And I propose we start a Clean Up Ironton campaign by looking around you, taking the things tonight so that the university doesn't have to do them. If somebody's still drinking their drink, don't take it out of their hand, okay? But if they forget theirs, will you take it with you? Thank you to the university, for the Ironton Tribune, Rotary, of course, and for Armstrong. Have a wonderful and safe evening.